Let me tell you something nobody told me when I became the manager for the first time. Every single skill that got me promoted was almost useless in the new role. I was a strong individual contributor. I could ship features, I could debug complex systems, I could deliver under pressure, and then I became a manager. And suddenly none of that mattered to the way it used to. Here's the thing most people get wrong. They think becoming a manager is a promotion. It is not. It is a career change. You're starting over. Different skills, different scoreboard, different definition of success. And if you don't make that mental shift fast, you will struggle. I've seen it happen hundreds of times. First, a quick bit about me. I've been an engineering manager and senior engineering manager for over 8 years at companies like Google and other top tech companies. I've managed teams of all sizes, mentored hundreds of new managers, and honestly made plenty of mistakes myself early on. So what I'm sharing today is not theory. This comes from real experience, real failures, and real lessons. In this video, I'm going to share 7 things that will help you excel as a first-time manager. These are the things I wish someone had told me when I started. Let's get into it. So the first and honestly the most common mistake I see is that the new managers keep doing their old job. And I get it. You are great at the IC work. This is why you got promoted. So when something breaks or a deadline is tight, your instinct is to jump in and just do it yourself. It feels productive, it feels helpful, but it's actually the worst thing that you can do. Here's why. Every time you step in and do the work, you're sending your team a message. That message is, I do not trust you to handle this. You're also robbing them of the chance to grow. And you're burning yourself out trying to do 2 jobs at once. I remember early in my management career, I would review pull requests and practically rewrite the code myself. I thought I was helping. What I really was doing was becoming a bottleneck. My team stopped taking ownership because they knew I would just redo it anyways. Your job now is not to be the best problem solver on the team. Your job is to build a team of great problem solvers. That is a completely different thing. So catch yourself when you feel the urge to jump in. Ask yourself, am I doing this because the team genuinely cannot, or because it is faster if I do it? If it is the second one, step back. Okay. So the second thing ties directly into this. You need to learn to measure yourself differently. As an IC, you had a very clear scoreboard. Features shipped, bugs fixed, PRs merged, projects delivered. At the end of the day, you could point to something concrete and say, I did that. As a manager, your scoreboard changes completely. And that is where a lot of new managers struggle emotionally. You'll have days where you spend 8 hours in one-on-ones, team meetings, and planning sessions. At the end of the day, your brain will say, I did not get anything done today. That feeling is a trap. Those conversations are the work. Unblocking your engineer who was stuck, that is output. Helping someone navigate a conflict with another team, that is output. Aligning your team on the right priorities so they do not waste a sprint, that is massive output. Your new metrics are things like, is my team shipping consistently? Are people growing? Is attrition low? Can my team operate independently when I'm not in the room? That last one is your ultimate test. If your team falls apart the moment you go on vacation, you are not managing well. You are just a very busy individual contributor with a manager title. Now this next one, I cannot stress enough. I've seen more new managers fail here than almost everywhere else. And it is about one-on-ones. Here's what a bad one-on-one looks like. You sit down with your report, you go through Jira board, you ask, how's the project going? They say fine. You say great, meeting over. That is not a one-on-one. That is a status update. And you don't even need a meeting for that. A Slack message just works fine. A real one-on-one is your most powerful tool as a manager. This is where you learn what is actually going on. What is blocking someone that they are too embarrassed to bring up in the team meeting? What are their career goals? Whether they are frustrated, disengaged, or thinking about leaving. There is a simple structure that works well. First, let them drive the agenda. Start with what is on your mind. This is their time, not yours. Second, go deeper. If they say everything is fine, probe a little. What is the most frustrating part of your week right now? Third, talk about their growth. Not every week, but regularly. Where do you want to be in a year? What skills are you trying to build? The best managers I have worked with treated one-on-ones as sacred. They did not cancel them. They did not cut them short. Because that is where trust gets built. One conversation at a time. Okay, so this next one is something that honestly took me a while to get right myself. Giving feedback. It is hard for new managers because most of us have a deep desire to be liked. And giving tough feedback feels like it threatens that. So what happens? You notice a problem. Maybe someone's code quality is slipping, or they are consistently late to meetings, or they are not collaborating well with another team. And you think, I'll mention it during the next performance review. This is the worst possible approach. By the time the review comes, the behavior is now a pattern. That person is blindsided, and they are rightfully frustrated because you sat on this for months. Here's what I tell every new manager I mentor. Feedback should be like a GPS, not like a year-end report card. A GPS corrects you in real time. It says, here's the next left. It does not wait until you are 200 miles off course to tell you that you missed a turn 3 hours ago. There is a simple framework that works. Situation, behavior, impact. In yesterday's design review situation, you interrupted Sarah twice while she was presenting hard for the team to hear her ideas fully. That is it. Specific, timely, not personal. You are not saying you are rude. You're describing what happened and why it matters. And by the way, this goes for positive feedback as well. Do not just give them feedback when something is wrong. Catch people doing great work and tell them. Be specific about what was great and why it mattered. Alright, now this next one is a big shift from the IC world. And a lot of first-time managers really struggle with it. Prioritization. As an IC, someone else handled the chaos. Your manager filtered the noise. They decided what was important and what was not. Now that is your job. And here's the thing. There will always be more work than your team can handle. Leadership will have urgent requests. Other teams will need just a small favor. Stakeholders will want everything done yesterday. If you pass all of that through to your team, they will be pulled in 10 directions. Nothing will get done well. And your best people will burn out and leave. Your job is to be the shield. You absorb the noise. You push back when needed. You make the hard calls about what your team will and will not do this sprint, this quarter. I have seen new managers who are afraid to say no to leadership. They think saying yes to everything makes them look good. It does not. It makes their team look chaotic. And eventually, it makes them look like they cannot manage. Saying yes to everything is the same thing as saying yes to mediocrity. Protecting your team's focus, that is one of the highest value things you can do. Okay, so this is a classic trap and I have personally fallen into it. You are the new manager. You are excited. You have ideas. Maybe you came from a different team or a company where things were done differently. And you want to make your mark. So in your first month, you propose a new sprint process. You want to restructure the on-call rotation. You suggest migrating to a different tool. Stop. Just stop. See, people do not resist change. They resist change from someone they do not trust yet. And trust is not something you get with the title. You earn it over time by listening, following through, and showing that you understand the context. My rule of thumb, spend your first 60 to 90 days mostly listening. Have one-on-ones with everyone. Ask questions like, why do we do it this way? not to challenge, but to genuinely understand. There might be very good reasons for things that seem inefficient on the surface. Once your team sees that you have taken the time to understand their world, they will be far more open to your ideas. You will also have better ideas because now they are informed by context, not just assumptions. Now, the last one I want to talk might actually be the most important, and it is the one I have seen the most new managers completely ignore: managing up. Most new managers are so focused on their team that they forget about relationship with their own manager. Here's why that matters. Your manager controls things that directly affect your team: headcount, budget, project visibility, air covers when things go wrong. If they do not know what your team is doing and why it matters, you are flying blind. I've seen situations where the team does incredible work, but the manager never communicates it upwards. So when it is time for promotions or resource allocation, that team gets overlooked. Not because the work was not good, but because nobody with decision-making power knew about it. Here's what managing up looks like in practice. First, proactively share wins. Do not wait to be asked. A quick message like, "Hey, wanted to flag that the team shipped X 2 days ahead of schedule," goes long way. Second, flag risk early. If something is going sideways, tell your manager before it becomes a crisis. Everyone hates surprises. Third, align on priorities regularly. Make sure you and your manager agree on what matters most. If you're optimizing for different things, you will both be frustrated. And here is something to think about. In the age of AI, this skill becomes even more critical. AI tools are rapidly taking over a lot of routine execution work. The day-to-day is getting more automated, which means the manager's value shifts even further towards strategy, communication, and influence. The manager who can clearly articulate their team's impact to leadership, those are the ones who will thrive. Because tools and workflow will keep changing, but the ability to rally people around a direction and influence decisions, that is irreplaceable. So let me tie all of this with one idea. The best first-time managers are the ones who accept the identity shift the fastest. You are not a star player anymore. You are a coach. And great coaches are not measured by their personal stats. They are measured by championships. Your wins are now your team's wins. Your growth is now measured by how much your team grows. And your legacy is not the code you wrote or the features you shipped. It is the people you developed and the culture you built. That shift is uncomfortable. It takes time. But once it clicks, management becomes one of the most rewarding things you will ever do. Now look, I know every situation is different. Maybe you are dealing with a tough team dynamic right now. Maybe you are navigating your first PIP. Or maybe you just got the promotion and have no idea where to start. If you want to talk through your specific situation with someone who has been there, we have a platform at BeTopTen.com where you can book one-on-one session with experienced leaders from top tech companies, including FAN. I will drop the link in description. And if you're preparing for a management interview at the top tech company, keep these tips in mind. These are exactly the signals interviewers look for. They want to see that you think like a multiplier, not just a doer. Alright, that is it for today. If you found this helpful, hit the like button and subscribe. I will see you in the next one.